Welcome to the Shreveport Connection with Tommy. Well, thought we was going to have another visitor tonight. He's a little bit tired, so I'll let him rest on his little small vacation. I'm on my vacation for work. Hoorah, hoorah. Well, this video is going to be about Raw, superstars, and some news that happened last week with WWE and currently this week as well. And it starts off with Wade Barrett's injuries. Well, he underwent surgery on his dislocated elbow earlier this week after suffering the injury during last week's 10-man Battle Royal, which is now 2 weeks ago, on the Raw Super Show. WWE stated on the company website that he would be sidelined for at least 6 to 8 weeks. The injury is more severe than the initial diagnosis. He is now expected to be sidelined for 3 to 4 months. Barrett's injury has caused changes to WrestleMania 28 card, as the Money in the Bank ladder match was scheduled to take place at the pay-per-view, but has been dropped, with the English grappler pegged as a winner of the briefcase. I guess he was supposedly to be picked as the winner. And with Barrett sidelined, the match has to be scrapped altogether. Instead, they will be doing an entire Money in the Bank pay-per-view. So they are initially bringing back the Money in the Bank pay-per-view after all. Meanwhile, Barrett stated Thursday on Twitter that he will be taking a break from the micro-blogging site as well. So those of you who are friends with him on Twitter, sorry about your damn luck. You'll just have to miss him because he's dropping it until he returns to actual wrestling action again. And he quoted by saying, "I'm done with Twitter for now. See you in a few months," he wrote. There are reports circulating online that former WWF star Doug Furnas passed away in his sleep, and it was confirmed by some of his friends. He passed away at the age of 50. First report came from David Haskins, a Tennessee-based wrestler. He said he received information from Doug's brother, Mike Furnas, who was also a pro wrestler. Furnas was a college football player at the University of Tennessee who became one of the greatest power lifters of all time. As he broke more than 24 world records in the powerlifting, he crossed over to professional wrestling in 1986. As you know, Vince McMahon was very high up on the weightlifters and what have you. With Knoxville, Tennessee Corporation-based promotion Continental Championship Wrestling, which led to him a career all over the world. Furnas was a fixture in All Japan Pro Wrestling with Phil LaFon, a.k.a. Dan Crofat, or Crawford, how you pronounce his name. And the two were considered one of the best tag teams of the 90s. Their supreme talent led to employment with World Wrestling Federation and Extreme Championship Wrestling in the late 1990s. Furnas also worked for World Championship Wrestling in 1990 as a singles competitor. Well, Furnas had dropped wrestling for his career because he was battling Parkinson's disease for a number of years, and the degenerative disorder forced him to retire in 2000. So those that don't know, well, now you know. Dick Tracy cartoon is still doing its wrestling-themed storylines, including a character drawn to be Jerry the King Lawler, called Jerry King, who is a television announcer. His sidekick named Michael, who was drawn to look like Michael Cole. In the comic, Jerry King was talking about what a great match we just saw, where Toyo Yamamoto and Johnny Long won the tag titles from the Mighty Yankees. Well, all of these names were Tennessee wrestlers in the early 70s. So take it from that. I found out earlier this week, one of the WWE equipment trucks ran off the road near Pulaski, New York, on Thursday night last week during a nasty snowstorm. It was one of the trucks with a photo of the Miz on the side. So I guess he got somebody was running into him because they didn't like him or something. And so yada 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 leads into a traffic accident. I think the Miz will get blamed for the accident. Shane Helms tweeted the following over the weekend, announcing that he will be a daddy in this year. I believe it's he sent a picture, but whenever I tried to view it, there was nothing there. As he just go to his Twitter account, and he stated as 2011 was nearly life-ending for him, 2012 is going to be life-changing. Thanks for all my congratulatory tweets. They really touched my heart. Much gratitude to love you all and thank you. And yes, you can indeed blame it on the Shane, which was trending worldwide when he said it. To be honest, I gotta blame this baby thing on my bad foot. I couldn't get away from his girlfriend or wife to be. The H2H waitress on Twitter. She doesn't take no for an answer, apparently. So just take it from that. But again, a serious thank you for all the great messages. So many different people being so positive. It's always a good thing. And that's enough on Hurricane. Mark Henry was recently interviewed by the official WWE website and his induction into the International Sports Hall of Fame. And here are some of the highlights he commented on. Well, he commented on winning the Arnold Classic. It meant a lot because this competition is geared toward the heaviest instruments in the world. To win the competition truly proves that you are the strongest man. You compete against 8 guys, the best in the world. There's nothing dodging anybody. There's no dodging anybody, and you lift the heaviest apparatus. It spoke volumes about my talent. I only had 4 months to train because I was with WWE. If I had more time to train, I might have done even better. It's hard to better than your first, though, you know. Then he revealed what his famous lifting moment in his career was, being 19 years old. He's quoted by saying, "And making the Olympic team on my last lift, I went 6 for 6 and had a perfect Olympic trial. Making the team and being one of the youngest to ever to go to the Olympics was pretty special." And that was basically the highlights of his interview. Caitlin is working with Lift Studios at the Arnold Sports Festival this weekend. She was doing some bodybuilding yesterday herself. So, could she be a possible contestant in the competition? We'll just have to wait and see. Amazon has confirmed that WWE will release a new DVD coming up soon called Biggest Matches in ECW History on June the 5th of this year. As previously noted, the DVD set will feature the top 25 matches in ECW history. CM Punk versus Dolph Ziggler in a best of 3 falls match, plus John Cena and Zack Ryder versus Primo and Epico for the WWE tag titles, is being advertised for the May 11th Raw live event in Glens Falls, New York. So take it from that. That could be a possible spoiler for WrestleMania. But it doesn't say who's champion and what other than just the tag title will stay the same. So Primo and Epico, I guess they might not have a match for WrestleMania. Former wrestler from TNA, who is now going under the name of Xavier Woods, Consequences Creed in TNA, made his first WWE appearance over the weekend at a Raw live event in Cornwall, Ontario, Canada. He defeated Kurt Hawkins. Wood signed a developmental contract in July of 2010 and has been in Florida Championship Wrestling ever since. And so he just got called up to the main roster. Okay, since I didn't find the results for the SmackDown Dark Match main event and the TNA Wednesday taping for the 15th never happened, or there was no report for it. Well, the Dark Match main event for SmackDown in Seattle was Daniel Bryan losing to the Big Show by disqualification. When Cody Rhodes interfered, Sheamus made a save to end the show. Thus, all the same as the previous days and Raws and what have you, and SmackDown, yada, yada, yada. Same old, same old. Eve Torres' in-ring segment from this past Monday's Raw Super Show was the same segment they did at all the live events over the weekend. So she had many times to practice. Okay, over the weekend, there were some unconfirmed reports that Colt Cabana attended Monday's Raw from Portland. In an update, Colt was not there, but there was a man sitting behind the announcer's table wearing a Colt Cabana t-shirt, which caused the fans in the crowd to start chanting Colt Cabana's name. 6-man tag action for this coming week. Randy Orton, Big Show, and Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan, Cody Rhodes, and Mark Henry is being advertised for the March 6th SmackDown tapings at the Mohegan Arena in Uncasville, Connecticut. Hope I pronounced that right. WWE has released new iPhone and iPod skins for CM Punk, John Cena, The Undertaker, and Cena versus The Rock at WrestleMania 28. They are also taking pre-orders for The Rock new 24/7 365 Boost Asses t-shirt. Well, WWE Divas Champion Beth Phoenix was in action at last week's Monday's Super Show tapings, facing Alicia Fox, but it was put on Superstars instead. That match was supposed to be on Raw, but they put the other match instead. Kelly versus the Bella Twins. Well, Beth wrote after the Raw was over, quote, "Another Raw goes by and the Glamazon reigns as queen. Why?" Well, she goes into her comments, which were twinning worldwide. No competition. Divas champion forever and queen of the ring. 411 Mania's Greg DeMarco reports that independent women's wrestler Buggy Nova received another tryout match against AJ Lee at a previous week's SmackDown tapings in Fresno, California. Earlier this year at the Raw in Anaheim, WWE officials had Nova do promo work and brought her back to the SmackDown tapings the next night, where she then completed a physical, did a photo shoot, and wrestled AJ. So she took part in a WWE Kmart commercial with Sheamus and Lizzie Valentine as well. Okay, now a little bit of talk about John Cena and The Rock. Well, they had a verbal battle on Monday's Raw Super Show from last week from Portland. It was designed for Cena to get the upper hand this time around in The Rock for this week, which he did, as you will see from the report that I give in just a few minutes. This was achieved by having Cena point out that The Rock was reading his crib notes on his wrist. And some in WWE claim that Cena pointing this out was not scripted. WWE officials are determined to get a 50-50 reaction for both men at WrestleMania in Miami. WWE has interest in Ring of Honor tag teams Jay and Mark Briscoe. The two have been blocked from signing with WWE by Ring of Honor due to Ring of Honor enforcing their contracts. Ring of Honor officials have also blocked wrestlers Adam Cole from signing with WWE. And there is said to be a discontent in the Ring of Honor locker room due to frustration with Booker Jim Cornette and other issues that have to do with contracts and their limitations when it comes to doing work on the independents. Another source claims those rumors are of discontent are untrue. WWE.com has announced that Psych star James Roday will guest star on the Raw Super Show when it emanates from Cleveland, Ohio on March the 12th, thus being next week. But on the actual TV show, I've seen nothing of it. But they did have some comments on the Raw tonight with some of the stuff with the Psych stars. Roday was tapped to a guest star on Raw on January 25th, 2010, alongside his co-star, Dual Heel. However, a last-minute appendectomy forced him to cancel. So that left James by himself. Well, WWE superstar and Fozzy frontman Chris Jericho will host the 2012 Revolver Golden Gods Awards show on April 11th after WrestleMania at Club Nokia in Los Angeles, California. And a live concert will also be held featuring Marilyn Manson's band, Slash and Evanescence will be there. Among Fozzy will be there, and some others that are not mentioned as of yet. The official website of the TD Garden is no longer advertising The Undertaker for tonight's was no longer advertising it for tonight's Super Show in Boston. But Shawn Michaels and Triple H were previously advertised as being under the same roof. The focus is now issues between Michaels and Triple H, which they aired on Raw tonight. The updated synopsis reads, what will the Heartbreak Kid have to say to his best friend Triple H after the game said 2 weeks ago that he was better than Shawn Michaels? Former WWE, WCW star Diamond Dallas Page, it's DDP, stated during a PW Torch live cast this week that he was also backstage at last week's Raw live event at the Staples Center in Los Angeles, California. Well, he also commented that if he was to come out of retirement for one more match, he wants to face the RKO himself, Randy Keith Orton. Therefore, you will have a Feel the Bang Diamond Cutter versus the RKO. Same move. A masked wrestler named Benicio Salazar has been added to WWE FCW developmental roster. In Mexico, Salazar is known as El Hijo del Medico Asesino and Terror Negro. He is the son of Medico Asesino, or other name is Assassin Doctor. And it appears that he will be using his doctor gimmick in FCW as well. Salazar signed with WWE late last year. Was it probably November, December? Well, okay, update from Drew McIntyre via Twitter. Today, 73 days left before good old US of A tries to deport me. I know justice will be restored. No, Drew, bad for business. And future of WWE. Until then, I shall pitch Braveheart 2, The Rise of Wallace to Hollywood. Variety reports that The Rock is now official for Brett Ratner's upcoming Hercules movie. The Rock will be playing Hercules. Production begins this October in New Zealand. So, that's the first movie, and now for the second one. And this is all happening after WrestleMania. And here's signed on for a movie called, I'm going to spell it because I cannot pronounce it, Ciudad. It's like a Spanish name, I guess, Ciudad. Well, Rock will play a black market mercenary who was hired by a Brazilian drug lord to rescue his kidnapped daughter. Okay, well that sounds like the movie with John Travolta when he was a rescuer of a daughter. Slam Wrestling has published an article on Marcus Buff Bagwell wrestling at a high school he attended, Sprayberry High School in Marietta, Georgia. Along with the special occasion, Bagwell partnered with Scott Steiner and I gave the report of the entire list of matches that were involved in that in last week's episode. Well, it was a UCW, that's Universal, I believe it's a Universal Continental Wrestling Super Clash event. The former NWO duo lost to their opponents, Brody Chase and Mike Knox, formerly of WWE, WWF, in tag team action. Though long removed from the national wrestling scene, and now 42 years of age, Bagwell still looks as he did during his WCW days in the 1990s with World Championship Wrestling. The 22-year-old veteran credits his persona as the main reason for his consistent look. And he's quoted by saying, "My name's the reason," Bagwell joked. "If you've got a name like Buff, well, you better look the part." Well, his physique has led to an endorsement, and he is featured in online advertisements for Force Factor muscle building supplements. So that's what he's been doing since he left the mainstream scene for wrestling. Well, FCW star Dean Ambrose, formerly John Moxley, was in action at last night's WWE SmackDown Live event in Macon, Georgia. He defeated Drew McIntyre in action. And also, I believe at the same SmackDown show, Percy Watson is now officially added to the roster on the WWE site to the SmackDown roster. Former tag team partners Antonio Cesaro, Ring of Honor name Claudio Castagnoli, and Cassius Ohno. That's Chris Heroes Chris Hero from Ring of Honor face off for the first time against each other in FCW at last Thursday's FCW show in Kissimmee, Florida. They competed in a triple threat match with Bo Rotunda. Cesaro got the pin on Ono. And now for your Superstars taping, one match and one dark match. Well, Josh was at the show and reports from Boston, Massachusetts, and is sending the entire show updates. A lot of woo chants. There was a lot of highlight reel from last year's WrestleMania. The crowd was already split for the Rock and John Cena and the official dark match. Prior to the tapings was Great Khali defeating Kurt Hawkins with Tyler Rex. Khali had a nice ovation. Ringside fans didn't seem to know Hawkins was even still around. Well, Khali won after a few minutes of squashing a poor little guy. And now for your Superstars one match. Kofi Kingston defeated Dolph Ziggler. Lots of heat for Ziggler. Heavy youth-up chants from all over the arena. Pretty simple action with Ziggler going for the sleeper early. There were more 2 counts than the reporter anticipated. Ziggler mocked Kofi, which is his persona now, doing taunts and what have you, doing his little show off, which didn't get much reaction from the crowd, but the reporter thought it was funny. Pretty badass flip from Kofi on Ziggler from the corner for a close 2 count. Ziggler literally stood on his head while Kofi struggled to recover from a baseball slide, which got a small Ziggler chant from an easily impressed crowd. A few more roll-up 2 counts before a larger "Let's go Kofi" chant broke out, and when Kofi bounced back with a double-handed chop and a sunset powerbomb for another 2, and he comments about Vicky being crazy, weird looking live. Well, see, it looks worse on TV. Kofi stopped a top rope suplex only to miss a splash. Kofi. Another huge Kofi chant started and gets the win with the Trouble in Paradise. And then your Raw starts. Michael Cole introduces the show and says the building home of the defending Stanley Cup champions was sold out with 16,282 fans in attendance. They wasted no time in going straight to the introductions of Shawn Michaels, who got a great reaction from the hot live crowd. Lawler said it must have been Teddy Long's idea to open the show with HBK because You can't do any better than that. Shawn said the greatest thing about the HBK chance these days is that it gives him a moment to catch his breath because he's not used to doing his entrance anymore. He breathed heavily into the mic for effect. HBK chant started again. I've got my breath back. I'm good. Michaels joked. He acknowledged that things got heated between him and Triple H. And he goes on. He says he desperately wanted Triple H to take the match between Undertaker and at WrestleMania 28. Shawn said something that made him change his mind. My good buddy not only accepted the match, he upped the ante, and it's going to be Hell in a Cell. Michaels then said Shawn invited Triple H to come to the ring and explain what made him change his mind. Triple H entrance music hits, and he played, and can't you play the game? And he heads to the ring, dressed in a suit. They shared a quick hug. Shawn admitted he threw anything at Hunter because he wanted him to take the match. That's why you're the responsible one, Shawn said. He said he took shots below the belt, and he said that things that friends should never say. I'm amazed you didn't buckle, you didn't waver, you didn't do nothing. Then HBK says Triple H is a man of honor and integrity. Shawn recalled referring to Triple H as a coward. Nobody looks at Triple H and calls him a coward to his face and gets away with it. Shawn then said things started to get tense. That's why I say he's an oak. As Shawn Michaels then said he had to know what changed Hunter's mind. Triple H then said, was about to reply, but Shawn cut him off. He did say he didn't get to see the footage, so he asked the production truck to play the footage. And then they made Triple H break down. HBK put his arm around Hunter. Let you and I share this moment together, Shawn said. Video highlights from Hunter and Undertaker segment from 2 weeks ago was shown with the shot of Hunter walking back to accept the match after Taker told him that Shawn was better. Back live, and Shawn's expression changed while Hunter squirmed a bit. Hunter started to talk. Shawn cut him off again by saying, so, that's all it took? The worst thing about anybody could say to you is that I'm better than you? Triple H said that he knew Michaels didn't see the segment live, but it has nothing to do with him. Which one of them is better? I'm tired of it, Hunter said. I'm tired of listening to it. I'm tired of listening to people like The Undertaker talk behind your back and say you couldn't get the job done. Triple H then said he's tired of people saying Shawn is a failure and he wasn't as good as he thought he was in the first place. That just eats him up, Shawn. That eats me up, Shawn. Triple H then said he believes with every fiber of being that Shawn is the greatest in-ring performer of all time. It kills me. It pains me beyond measure to look at you and as a in-ring performer of all time. It pains me beyond measure to look at you as a loser, as Triple H said. That's why I'm going to do it. That's why I'm going to break it. I'm going to end The Undertaker and end the streak. Hunter said he's going to do it for himself and just as much as for Shawn. Well, okay. Thanks for that, Shawn said. He said he thought they had a problem, but Triple H in his nice suit says has it all under control. Silly me, Shawn said. He admitted that it hurt him last year. He said he watched Hunter dominate Taker and beat him within an inch of his life, and then you lost. And I was right, Michael said. And he said he knows who is going to win this year. And I'll be right again, Michael said. Shawn teased leaving the ring, and then he stopped and came back and said, I'm sorry, the reason I know that it is because I've been named the special referee. Shawn patted Hunter on the shoulder and left the ring while Hunter watched him while stone-faced. As I predicted, either one of the two was going to happen. It was either going to be a triple threat or Shawn was going to be a special referee. Because if Shawn wasn't going to be a referee, my guess was going to be Mick Foley going to be the special referee. The announcers then hyped The Rock versus John Cena for later on appearing, and hyped CM Punk and Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan and Chris Jericho. And then they had a commercial break. Graphics show that over 200 Make-A-Wish families will be at WrestleMania 28 as WrestleMania 28 guests. Match number 1, finally. Santino Marella is your new United States Champion as he defeated Jack Swagger after several mishap interferences from Vicky Guerrero, Dolph Ziggler, Kofi Kingston, John Laurinaitis, Teddy Long, David Otunga, you name it. Everybody got involved. But still, Santino prevailed and got the win. All that took place in 6 minutes and 35 seconds. Well, Santino comes out. Dolph comes out with the U.S. Championship. And Vicky is announcing Swagger and walking to the ring to good heat from the crowd. Michael Cole was in charge. He claimed it was his favoritism of Long to give Santino a title match. John Laurinaitis and David Otunga walked to the ringside. Thus, for their first part of their interference, well, Santino put the Cobra glove on his hand immediately, and Otunga was bickering with the referee when Ziggler got a shot in on Santino from behind. Swagger went for a pin, but Santino kicked out. Teddy Long walked to the ring with Oksana and Kofi Kingston. Long bickered with Laurinaitis at ringside as the show went to break. I was hoping that he would ban John Laurinaitis from the ringside as well as David Otunga myself, which would make good sense. Well, after the break, Laurinaitis stood on the ring apron to bicker with the referee. Teddy pulled him down. Santino ran the ropes to go for a move, but Ziggler knocked him down from behind. Santino recovered, but hit Ziggler with the Cobra. Oksana shows Vicky to the ground at ringside. When Vicky got up on the apron, Santino went for the Cobra on Swagger, who countered with the ankle lock. Long pushed Laurinaitis down again. Santino kicked Swagger off into the corner and then rolled him up for the 3 count. Laurinaitis took the mic and ordered that Santino's music stop playing. He said it was his show. However, Long cut him off and reminded him that he was not in charge tonight, that it was Teddy Long's show. Long called for security to escort Laurinaitis and reminded him that he was in charge of tonight's show. Long called for security to escort him out. Goodbye. Long told Laurinaitis and Otunga to get the heck out of my building. Security escorted him to the back. Well, segment number 3, Long told the ring announcer Justin Roberts to take over. Finishes announcements. Roberts introduces Santino as the new United States Champion. Santino acted like he was crying as he celebrated his title win. As Oksana, Teddy Long, Santino, they were all doing the trumpet playing thing, and he was basically doing his tears like he won the biggest title of his life. Let's just say that Eve. Okay, I missed something here. Announcers then hyped Rock with host history lessons number 1 after the break. Okay, next up, let's just say that Eve does a better job of getting cheers than Santino does. That being said, it was a fun segment. As the crowd popped big for the title change, I can live with the general managers overshadowing the match in the cage because it's not like him. Not like the U.S. title is ultra important at this point. Could this lead to Zack Ryder getting jealous that Santino won the belt? He covets. Well, Michael Cole sets up The Rock video, which was met with some scattered boos. Rock stood in the Boston Harbor. He talked about how the revolutionaries threw the British tea into the harbor. The camera pulled back and showed a stack of Cena merchandise on a table, which included midget shorts, which is actually a pair of baby pants. And he throws that into the Boston Harbor. I've seen a garden gnome, and he holds it. What real men would have this in their garden? And he quotes, throws it in the back, and he says, "Well, none other than a virgin." And then he grabs some wristbands, throws them in a river. He threw basically everything into the harbor and had some hilarious lines along the way to tell whoever it was to clean up the trash and get it out the river. Rock said his favorite was the John Cena cologne. This smells like fear, fruity pebbles, and possum piss. And he throws that in the river. And then the revolution begins tonight, Rock said. He said Cena could take all of the crap he's been shoving down their throats to the fans for years because we're sick of it. Rock said Cena could roll it all up in a ball and stick it straight up his candy ass. Rock then said that they would go all across the Boston until they ended up in the middle of the ring and ordered someone off camera to round up all the trash being seen as merchandise and throw it all in the trash where it belongs. Very funny stuff from the Rock as usual. The boos early on were likely due to Cena having some hometown fans in the building, other than his family who was sitting ringside. And a few fans probably thought they were getting the via satellite treatment and were going to see The Rock live. Well, I guess we'll find out what the true reaction is once he makes his entrance, which was your main event. Which surprisingly it actually ended before the specified time ending. Well, match number 2, Eve defeated Alicia Fox in 35 seconds. Kelly was on commentary for the match. Eve tripped Fox when she went for a pin, then mounted her for the pin to end the quick match and Kelly's commentary. Well, actually, the move to me, what was going on, it was a botched move, so they ended it right there before somebody actually botched another one, another move and got hurt. Zack Ryder's music played after Eve won, as he limped onto the stage with the aid of a crutch, and he wasn't actually using the crutch very much, and he looked like he was doing the Vince McMahon power walk, and kind of looked like he had the thing between his legs, separating them, yada yada yada, bandage on the forehead, yada yada yada, telling all that crap. Well, they said he's happy they never hooked up because it's broskies before hoskies. Cole said that Michael Cole then brought up Ryder has been home all this time and that stupid line was the best he could come up with. Then the shot aired from live earlier today with John Cena sitting inside an empty TD garden. He had a serious look rather than the usual happy-go-lucky Cena smirk. The announcer said that he addressed his match with The Rock earlier today and they would show. Well, they showed the footage after the break, the commercial. Backstage, Eve ran after Ryder and said she had something to tell him. Eve gave Ryder a big kiss. He kissed her back and smiled like a tool after she walked away. So, is he going with her and staying heel, or shall we just end it there? Because he definitely had a smile on his face. Well, announcer set up the John Cena feature that was taped earlier today, or earlier in the day. John Cena was in a serious mode while sitting alone inside the arena. Cena then spoke about WrestleMania 28 and said all the eyes will be focused on 2 men in 1 match. So who is he talking to? I guess he found the little Jimmy that R-Truth has been talking to lately. It didn't even seem like he was even talking to the fans, talking to anybody. Well, he just said the match is everything and is a once in a lifetime opportunity. So then says that despite their differences, there's no denying that The Rock is the most successful star in WWE history. He said Rock vowed not to return until he found a worthy opponent, and he did that in him. So he then said he's not just going to WrestleMania to go along for the ride. He said he wants to win. Cena said he grew up around Boston and noted that has become the city of champions. Then he recalled the Patriots going undefeated in the regular season and losing in the Super Bowl. He said nobody remembers who finishes in second place. Cena said that if he doesn't win at WrestleMania, he becomes another name in the notebook of people The Rock has defeated. Well, Cena then said that if he can somehow win in Rock's backyard, then he'll have won the big one. This is a match. This is an event that will make history, Cena said. He predicted that WrestleMania 28 will break every event and record in the history of WWE. And no one will remember second place. That's why I needed to win. That's why I need to win. That's why WrestleMania is so important. WrestleMania 28 is sink or swim. This is all or nothing. WrestleMania 28 is my legacy. WrestleMania 28 is once in a lifetime. Cena looked up at the WrestleMania 28 logo and they go to commercial. Okay, so no NFL fans remember the Patriots and their nearly undefeated season very well despite their second place finish. But that was a strong segment that focused on the match rather than the insults. I want to hear something similar from The Rock, or I'll just assume that Cena is going over since he's talking about winning the match. Well, Rock, I'll just assume that Cena is... The Rock has been talking about giving Cena an ass kicking. Either way, it's always nice to see serious sports like Cena rather than bad joke telling, smirking Cena. Well, then they show an ad for SmackDown focusing on Randy Orton and Kane, and hyped that John Laryngitis would be in charge of the show for one night only. Lawler hyped the Flo Rida theme song for WrestleMania. Coleslaw then hyped that they were 27 days away from WrestleMania and did the reset heading into hour number 2. Well, and that was actually at 8:57. CM Punk music played and he walked on stage. He looks at his wrist and yelled as usual, and you can actually hear him say, "It's clobbering time!" Video footage recap of the Punk and Chris Jericho segment from last week. Back live, Punk was watching footage on the big screen. Sheamus made his entrance. And Daniel Bryan and Chris Jericho make their entrances for the tag match. Match number 3, Daniel Bryan with AJ coming out with him to watch the match, be in his corner. And Jericho with his highlighted jack as the lights go down, dim. And Daniel Bryan and Chris Jericho defeat CM Punk and Sheamus in 11 minutes 50 seconds. Punk got the better of an exchange with Jericho, who tumbled to his corner to tag in Bryan. Punk backed Bryan into the corner and tagged Sheamus into the match. Punk tagged in again and getting the better of Bryan when Jericho caught him with a kick. Jericho tagged in as Punk sold as the show went to a commercial break. It was a cool spot late in the match with Jericho going for a bulldog, yet being thrown feet first into the corner when Sheamus shoved him off. Punk sold a back injury throughout the match. When he went to the top rope and performed a top rope elbow drop on Bryan, Punk continued to sell the back, hurting. Later, Jericho went for the walls of Jericho on Punk, who countered into a pin, but Jericho rolled through and got the pinfall instead. Punk sold the back injury again. Jericho headed to ringside and grabbed the WWE Championship after posing with it, and then throws it back to CM Punk and leaves while he's smiling. Well, an expected outcome given that they need to put heat on the heels heading into WrestleMania. Punk was protected by a back injury story, which they establishing last week, being body slammed on the steel, you might say the steel stage. I can't say I'm a fan of having Punk and Jericho in the same match. Okay, The Rock hosted his second history lesson while standing in front of a Paul Revere monument. He questioned what would have happened if this dude had been on the horse instead of Revere. The camera pulled back to show a cardboard cutting of cardboard showing of John Cena. The Rock then said we would have been sipping tea and blessing the Queen. Rock then said he's 25% black, 25% Samoan, 50% Clydesdale. He also had a line about the women of Boston would be lining up to give him a piece of the cream pie. He did the Yankee Doodle song, which was hilarious, and did his own little words of closing off The Rock. Stuck a feather up his ass and called him a jabroni. Huge laugh from the crowd over that one. Rock stressed that he was coming to the TD Garden tonight. Okay, I love still PG, but all the cussing's got to go if Sarah saying PG. That's the reason why Batista left WWE, because it's PG. Well, The Rock shows up again, actually in live. Another fun one from The Rock. Cena set the serious tone while The Rock is all comedy and insults this far. It's just me, or is the production truck obsessed with showing the reaction of the same two fans whenever they air something with The Rock tonight? Michael Coleslaw hyped John Laryngitis will be in charge of Friday Night SmackDown television show. Announcers recap the General Manager saga that occurred during Santino's U.S. title win from earlier in the show, and Michael Cole said that there's no way to treat a trailblazer like Laurinaitis. Match number 4, Big Show pinned The Miz a 2-minute match. Bell rang. Cody Rhodes told him to hold on. Then he aired the latest embarrassing moment for the Big Show at WrestleMania. This time, Show was shown hyping WrestleMania 28 at the WWE restaurant in New York. Thus, it was not at a WrestleMania. Miz jumped Show from behind, who cut him off quickly and finished him off with the knockout with the WMD. There wasn't too much to the match, as most of the 2 minutes was taken up by Cody in the video. Poor Miz again. Lawler even said maybe Miz can wait tables at the restaurant. Meanwhile, Cody's video wasn't very embarrassing this week. Didn't care for the segment at all. But they've done a good job of building up Cody as a pass and making viewers look forward to seeing Show get his hands on him at WrestleMania. Well, then they showed the WrestleMania video hyping. We are 27 days away. Rock hosted another history segment. He spoke about his revolution to overthrow John Cena. He said he had traits of George Washington and Ben Franklin. And you know what? Of John Hancock. He goes, of John Hancock, as he said it. Rock just got serious while talking about WrestleMania. And then Mark the Rock's words, you can take it to the bank. Rock will beat you. John Cena, you will fall to the Rock. Then he turns his attention to the back tonight and said he was going to look Cena in his eyes and tell the world what he sees. There it is. I've been waiting to hear The Rock say he's going to defeat John Cena, just as Cena was going to beat him. Now they're even again, and I won't feel like the match result is tipped off because the loser didn't want to talk about winning and losing. They showed a graphic about WWE Access. Michael Cole's all hyped. The Undertaker will respond to the news of Shawn Michaels serving as special referee, and Michaels will be there to hear it live again next week. Or in 2 weeks, whichever one. They didn't say which one it was. Match number 5, Kane beat R-Truth in 1 minute and 25 seconds. Highlights of the Kane attacking Randy Orton on SmackDown was shown aggressively with punches to start, but Kane cut him off and eventually won with a chokeslam. After the match, Randy Orton's music played, and as he's headed to the ring, Kane started punching R-Truth again, which allowed Orton to hit Kane with the RKO. But R-Truth was holding on Kane's foot to allow him to hit the RKO, as R-Truth just rolled out of the way for him to fall. Orton grabbed a mic and got down and laid right next to Kane and said, "It's good to be back," Orton said. For those not paying attention, Orton's line was in response to Kane's welcoming him back from the attack on SmackDown last week. Good job for Orton getting his little action in, and he had a good 2011. His likely match with Kane will be an afterthought on the WrestleMania card. Commercial break, second SmackDown, and add height with laryngitis serving as a SmackDown GM for Friday's show. And then you get John Cena's music entry playing, and out he comes to a lot of boos. He looked into the camera and said Boston is home of Larry Bird, Wade Boggs, and himself, and added, "Can you believe that one?" Once in the ring, Cena said the building was packed and noted that there were even people behind the scoreboard. "Finally, The Rock is back," Cena said. He then added the Rock was back giving history lessons all over Boston. He said they were excited and entertaining and everything The Rock needs to be. He said it's exciting, but if you get past the infomercials and the dramatic head whips, what is Rock actually saying? Cena held the mic up while the fans chanted, "Fruity Pebbles, Fruity Pebbles." Cena said Rock talked about whatever he calls his penis and how many girls he's had sex with. Wait a minute. Am I fighting The Rock at WrestleMania, or am I fighting the situation from the Jersey Shore? As the crowd went crazy over that one. Cena then said that The Rock was shook up for the first time in his career last week. He said Rock spent 20 minutes talking about some hashtag Twitter thing. He said that after he came out, Rock was stuttering and sounded more like Rain Man than Rock, which got the crowd going woo about him again. Then Cena said Rock got shook up by a prep school thug with no balls who dresses like a Wonder Woman transvestite. Seriously. Take a look from head to toe, Cena said. I look ridiculous. He mocked his own black socks and that he wore knee pads just to talk to the fans. He said Rock has that University of Miami swagger back. He said Rock has been doing his best work and his best work has been pre-recorded by satellite. Cena said he hopes that he faces Rock at WrestleMania. I need The Rock, he said, because I don't want to beat the second best at WrestleMania. He asked the crowd if they want to see The Rock back tonight, and the crowd cheered. I would too, Cena said. Let's see who is going to show up for WrestleMania. Bring on The Rock. Well, The Rock's music played, and he hyped and walked quickly to the ring, and then did circles around the ring thing, staring at him. As the stare down was just actually a blinking match. Who could blink the most and what have you. Which I think The Rock won even the blinking match. While he's walking around the room and got Cena backed up into a circle. The crowd chanted, "Rocky, Rocky, Rocky." Rock delivered the "finally" line. Cena held up his hands, smirked at The Rock while he said he was going to look Cena in the eye and tell the world what he sees. And just as the show goes over the 10 o'clock hour, The Rock says he sees fear. He said Cena fears that he is taking everything away. Cena smirks. There were some boos. Rock says he sees the fear from Cena that everything he's worked for over the last 10 years will go away when he gets his ass kicked at WrestleMania 28. Okay, well, Rock asks, you think you shook my confidence? Look at me when I'm speaking to you. Crowd chanted "Fruity Pebbles." Cena smirked again. Rock held the mic at his side and blinked into Cena's eyes. Rock held up his hand in Cena's face and said, "You think you shook The Rock's confidence?" Again. Rock has never been more confident about anything in his life. Crowd started chanting "Boots asses" at this time. Cena asked if they were chanting "Tooth Fairy," which was actually kind of what I was hearing along with my buddy here watching the show as well. Rock remained serious. Rock said, "You could strip away everything, and The Rock is 6'4" and 260 pounds of man who will rip Cena's throat out. At your core, you will always be a little boy, always as The Rock's bitch." Cena, who interrupted Rock by asking, what do you got?" repeatedly while Rock was trying to finish the line, smiled and nodded once Rock finished his line. Cena said to The Rock's height and weight, don't scare him. He said Rock said he would rip his throat out. That's exactly what he would have to do, Cena said. And he said Rock was right in that Cena will lose everything if he loses at WrestleMania. He said that if Rock thinks he's afraid of him, he's lost his damn mind. Cena said Captain Catchphrase has it half right when he said he'll make history by making him his bitch at WrestleMania. He said, well, Cena then says, "I'm the son of a bitch that's going to make history by whooping The Rock's ass," Cena concluded. He went to ringside and dove into the arms of some people, which is none other than his family, and he was it. That's my wife, because he kissed the lady. Then he headed back to the ring briefly and posed for the crowd. Then headed back to ringside where he hugged his father and kissed his wife again. He pointed out to his brother-in-law also. And then after the show stops, they showed an ad that hyped The Rock's concert and John Cena rap for next week is advertised, so they're going to do a wrap-up, I guess. Yeah, really. Really? Yeah, really. Really? Really? And that ends your all, but the reporter also sent in the dark match results. As John Cena mentioned, his brother has a stage 3 tumor in his throat that is now finally shrinking. As a fellow tumor patient, myself and as part of the crowd, we all stood and applauded for his success. And as Josh, as the reporter, has the cancer thing in his throat, I guess. So, and what have you, which is also what Dr. Death had died of. He had the cancer in his throat, what have you. Speaking of which, I got some good news from my report from the doctor over the previous weeks. My throat is non-cancerous. I've been having problems swallowing my medicine, eating foods lately, and it's been basically healed, and it's been just a case of what the doctor had said, but as acid reflux, and they're giving me some acid reflux medicines like Pepsid. Well, Pepsid sometimes works, I still have problems, but it's getting better. And just keep praying for me and what have you. And now for your dark match main event. John Cena and CM Punk defeated Chris Jericho and Kane. The match began with some quick tags from the heel side, with Punk taking the initial punishment. Cena comes in and drops Kane and hits the "You Can't See Me" fist drop. Double finishes from Punk and Cena as the show ends for the win. And that will end the Raw Superstars results for this week. Stay tuned tomorrow night for your, or actually tonight for your SmackDown Superstars other matches and your NXT results for Wednesday.